What's good? Welcome back to a new video. So when it comes to me and releasing music, I've also had excuses when I started to release music online. I've also came up with all sorts of excuses like, yo, is my music good enough? Should I release music? And have every excuse imaginable not to release music up until I started to also just drop my music online. And I've been putting out music ever since. And I just want to show you my latest release, how it's been doing just after 1 month of release. My latest project that I released is called Spiritual Visions, right? That's this one that you can see right here, right? So what I want to do is I'm gonna go right here by stats so we can take a look at the statistics, and I'm gonna start with Spotify. So on this drop down here you can take a look at iTunes, Spotify, and Apple Music. So I haven't really done this before, like to really look at the numbers, because I was always worried, I was always scared, because I would just release music and I'm just like, you know what, it is what it is, you know, and all that. But I think we'll start at Spotify, and I think I should pick the album right here. So select an album, and I am going to pick it, Spiritual Visions, right there, and display. Let's see how this album did on Spotify. In the last 365 days, which is like a year, I've gotten like 1,000 streams, right? And in the last 60 days, I've gotten 1,000 again here. And in the last 7 days, I've gotten 54 streams. This is the first week. You can see here the date says May 22nd. I got 488 streams. So these are streams I can see here. So that's weekly. And then it started to drop. You can see here 300, and then 100, and then 75, and then 54. Because when I launched this album, I spoke about it a lot, and I built hype, you know, on all my social medias. And we're talking about YouTube, which is this channel that you're watching me on right now, Facebook, and on Instagram as well. And just also word of mouth. I also told my friends and people that knew me that I'm gonna be releasing an album. And as you can see right here, daily, you can start to see the streams daily, but you can see the fall off right here, that, you know, it picks up as you launch, and then, you know, it starts to gradually dip, you know, because I'm not buying, you know, streams or anything like that. This is all organic. I'm not like, you know, I'm not buying plays or doing anything like that. So that's what it's looking like. So that's Spotify. So let's take a look at iTunes plus Amazon sales, right? So I'm gonna go here and say display. Wow, not even a single one, bro. Like all time. Wow. Like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So ain't nobody bought my music, bro. Wow, that's crazy, bro. But it's the reality of things right now, because people would rather stream music than actually buy it. So I'm really surprised about, you know, what happened here. And if I check Apple Music and display that, let's see what will happen. Okay, so in the last 365 days, it says that 261 streams. That's good enough. The last 30 days, it's 235. That's good enough. So right here at launch, it got like 68 streams. So these are streams by day, and then you can see the drop off right there. It drops off like this, and then, you know, it keeps going like that, and then it just flattens out, and you can see the streams start off really high and then they just drop down. So these are real numbers, you know, from someone who's not using bots or hacking anything or using any weird hacks or anything like that. And then I like these breakdowns here. So streams by device, I like this. So I can see where people are playing my music. So you see here it says mobile, right? So most people are playing my music on cell phones and mobile devices, and listening stats. So that's people who completed listening to a song. That's 29. That's like 56%, and people that skipped, and people that manually changed, like as soon as my song came on, and then it just manually changed it. And then if people whether listen to my music offline, they listen to my music online. So that's actually good to know. Streams by source. So most of it is actually discovery. That's interesting that people are discovering my music. So this is a good thing, you know, that you can actually be discovered more than people actually searching for you, because search is when people actually know you already, but this is discovery, which is a really good thing. And then if we go down here, we'll see that stream types. So people are listening to the whole album. And then if we go down here, streams by track. So I can see that the most popular songs are New Beginnings and Ascension. And then the other songs over here, which are, you know, kind of less popular. But I think I know why people like these songs, because already when I was promoting the album, people were telling me that they like these 2 songs. So this is really interesting. So I wanted to share this just to show you guys some transparency on how the album is done. And so now looking at all of this, I want to go back to, you know, the excuses that people often, you know, have when it comes to releasing their music. And I have 3 things that people usually bring up when it comes to bringing out the music, excuses that people often bring up about releasing the music that stops them. So let's get into that. I've had this issue where I like super critique my music. Like I was super hard on myself. Like, is my music even good enough for me to release? And I'm sure other people can relate to this. You know, you'd be asking yourself, yo, is my music even good enough to release? And it's an excuse that I also hear other people, you know, that also are stopping themselves from releasing music, bring up, and they're like, yo, I don't think my music is good enough. One thing I'll tell you is this: when I started releasing my music, most of the music that I've released, and also from hearing from other people that release their music, no one is really satisfied with the music that they release. Your music, I don't think you can get to a point where you actually feel like, yo, this music is now good enough. You ever have this, you know, self-fulfillment feeling where you're like, this thing that I made is good enough to release and all that. But I think you just have to express yourself in your music the best way you can, and then take it as far as you can in terms of the way you're gonna compose it, because music is art, you know what I mean? Just express yourself in your music, do the best you can to the best of your ability and to the level where you're at right now, and do the best you can, and then just release it, you know? And then it's up to people to actually tell you whether your music is good enough or not. And it's not for you to tell yourself whether your music is good enough or not. I'm not saying that you cannot critique yourself, but most of the time we often are too hard on ourselves, and we often are not kind to our own work. You know, we are not kind to ourselves because, you know, it's like looking in the mirror. You look at yourself in the mirror and, you know, you look at yourself, you're like, you know, you're not looking fly, you just look at yourself not in a overly positive way. It really happens, unless if you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, yo, I'm the most handsome or the most beautiful, hey man, then I applaud you for that. But most people, you look at yourself in the mirror and you look at even your work, you're like, yo, it's not good enough, it's never good enough. And I'm sure people that even release like movies and a lot of stuff that we see online right now that are in the mainstream, they release it not at a state where they feel like, yo, is it good enough? But they release it when they feel like, you know what, I think it's done. There's nothing we can do. There's not more we can do about this. It just has to go out. And that's the first thing that I always hear people talk about. This one, I get it a lot. I often ask people like, yo, why haven't you released your music yet, bro? They're like, yo, I'm waiting for mixing and mastering, or I'm trying to work on my mixing and mastering. I'm trying to get better at mixing and mastering and all that. I'm like, bruh, that's an excuse, bruh. That's cap. You know if your music is ready, and you cannot keep using mixing and mastering as an excuse to release your music. If you're not good at that, one, you can hire people to do mixing and mastering for you. That's already not an excuse. On the other hand, I get it. Maybe you're starting out, especially if you're starting out, you don't have the budget to have someone, you know, maybe the budget to have someone do it for you. So I get that, you know, but what I think is, with all the videos that we have online, and we have even like AI, artificial intelligence services like Lander, things you can use to master your music, I think those things actually help us be able to master our songs and have a finished product, or even your beats if you're someone who's just making your own beats and things like that. So that's not really an excuse that I tolerate personally to hear, but it's something that I also struggled with as well. I was like, yo, I need to get perfect at mixing and mastering before I release something. And that's just an excuse that we also just need to move past and release it. It must just be good enough. And one tip I'll give you, just a pro tip on mixing and mastering, is, you know, as long as it sounds good, as long as you have a good mix that sounds good to you, that's good enough. And then after that, just make sure that you master it to a point where it sounds nice and loud, and then that's it. release it, you know, and then move from there. Because when you're starting out, you want to build some kind of momentum with your music so that people can follow you and your progress as you start to release your music from where you're beginning. So mixing, mastering should not be a reason for you not to release your music. Okay, and the last one and the biggest one. This one, I get it a lot. I've also felt the same way. This one is a tough one. Let me know if you also relate to this one. Let me know if you feel that this is something that you also might be going through, where you feel like, yo, I don't have fans. No one will listen to my music. No, who am I releasing this music to? I feel like I get this all the time as well. And I've also been there before I also started to release my music. I'm like, you know, it feels like you're just, you know, releasing your music to the air and then 0 views or 0 listens and then no one is going to listen to your music. But I don't think that's an excuse though, because someone will be listening. I am sure of it. If you release your music, there's not going to be like a 0 response. I'm sure you have people that will listen to your music. It could be friends, it could be family, it could be anyone online. But most of the time what we do is when we look at our music, before we release it, we always look at it from the perspective of the bigger artists and the bigger DJs and people that release their music with more fans than us. So we are always expecting, you know, at launch our music is supposed to get like millions of views and millions of streams and a lot of people to buy our music and a lot of people to receive it at the same time. And before you have that, you don't want to release your music. And I don't think that's a good idea. That's a good way to go about it. You want to build your fan base one by one. So even if you just get one person, release your music. And you know, another thing that I also learned about releasing your music is that sometimes you also just want to start releasing your music right now so that as you get better, people can now follow you. Maybe in the next 5 years you can blow up, and through that time you'll be getting better at your production, at you being just an artist yourself and just being a musician. You get better, and then people can start to go back to listen to your old music and they can follow and go back to that stuff, and that can help you have a body of work and have, you know, a catalog, a back catalog of music that tells a story of where you started and, you know, where you are at right now. It's like, for me, when you look at my music, you can see the music that I've released first and then the music that I'm releasing now, and you can hear improvement over time. You don't want to wait until you get fans, because one question, how do you even get fans if you're actually not even releasing the music in the first place to begin with? You have to start releasing your music so that you start to build from there, and then, you know, not be afraid that no one will listen to it. I think that's also a fear that every creative has, that no one is going to listen to something that we'll be putting out there. I'm sure any artist, like, you know, it could be artists like a painter, like a graffiti artist, a movie maker, or anyone like that, feels like people might not show up to the movies when I, you know, release my short film or when I release my music or something like that online. No one is gonna pay attention, no one is gonna listen. But it's really never like 0, like a circle 0. It's never that. Even if it's just one person, that's good enough. The next time you'll have 2 people, the next time you'll have 3, the next time you'll have 4, and as time goes on, those numbers build up, build up, build up, build up, and add up. So I encourage you to start releasing music, and if you have anything that's holding you back from releasing music right now, let me know down below what that excuse is. And if you're thinking about releasing your music, make sure to check out my DistroKid link. This video is not sponsored by them, it's just me plugging you with my link. I hope this video puts your mind at ease so that you can also start releasing your music. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.